Thank you very much. Thanks to Jess and the team for inviting me to come speak to you today to teach you a little more about farm rescue. Has anyone in the audience heard of our nonprofit Farm Rescue before? Wonderful. So a few out there. For those of you who are unfamiliar, we're a nonprofit started in 2005 in North Dakota. We provide free equipment and volunteer labor to help families get their field work done when they suffer a major illness, injury, or natural disaster, and maybe can't do it in a safe or timely fashion themselves that season. And we kind of supplement what the neighbors try to do to help out, as farms get bigger, neighbors get fewer, farther between, and it seems like the amount of work everyone has to do every year gets to be more. They can't always commit to helping with all their neighbors' work and getting their own done, so we can fill that gap and make sure everyone has the most successful year possible. So most of you know a crisis can end a farm in a single season. Most farmers don't have, 2 months of PTO they could take off and just get back to the work when they are feeling better. The work has to be done on time and has to be done well, and that's where we can step in to bridge that gap. Most family farms don't have a lot of excess backup labor, not a lot of employees and redundancy there, so the owner-operator and maybe one family member may be all there is. So if one person gets sick or goes down, they've lost 50% of their crew that season. So our mission is to keep these family farms going through the crisis and into the future. And our data has shown that 97% of the families we've helped are still farming 3 years later. So that's a very great accomplishment that we like to promote, to know that our services, our mission is making an impact. Again, I mentioned we're founded in 2005 by a farm kid from Cleveland, North Dakota. Didn't have the opportunity to keep the family farm going through the 90s, so he went on to become a commercial airline pilot and actually flies freight around the world for UPS still to this day. But he's still the founder and president of our board, and started Farm Rescue in 2005 and helped 2 families plant that first season. And he knew if he was going to ever help more families, he had to figure out a way to scale this. So his idea was to get volunteers to run the equipment so he could focus on fundraising and all the other aspects of growing the organization and the mission. And he got his first volunteer the next year. And now we've got over 300 volunteers in our system, and we've helped about 1,300 families since we started in 2005. So we like to call our volunteers our angels in blue because of the blue shirts that we issue them when they go out to serve and help us in the field. They are certainly the heart of our mission. They're our boots on the ground. We've got a lot of retired farmers, people retired from ag business jobs. They have the most flexible schedules, of course, so they're a little more available to serve on short notice when we need them. We also have a lot of folks, probably 30% of our volunteer corps, that will use a week of their PTO every year to come help us. Maybe they work for John Deere or some of our other corporate sponsors, and they're so passionate about this mission that they'll use some of their vacation time to come help us every year, and we're very blessed and thankful for that. We've had over 2,000 people volunteer with us since 2006 when that first volunteer came on board. And like I said, right now we've got about 300 active volunteers in our system from all over the country that we can call on when they're needed. So some other statistics I'd like to bring up. This kind of shows the last 6 years of data. I guess 25 is not in there yet, but going up to 24. Number of cases we've done each year amongst our footprint, and then it's broken out between hay hauling cases and what we call field or farm cases. So the services we provide are planting, seeding, hay baling, harvesting, and commodity hauling and cattle feeding. And the hay hauling would be kind of part of that commodity hauling service. We're doing some hay hauling right now, actually. That's usually triggered by a wildfire or a flood or some other event that damages or makes the rancher's hay crop or hay storage unavailable. So we've got a semi down in the Oklahoma Panhandle that's been working the last few weeks hauling free donated hay to the wildfire victims down there from the Range Road fire that happened in mid-February. So about every 2 years we seem to get that hay hauling event that we're needed to do. And you can see that can add a lot of cases to our annual number when we do that. Good thing about hay hauling is we can serve maybe up to 2 families a day, depending on how far the haul is. So versus helping one family in the field for a week or 10 days, maybe we could help 14 families in a week if it's a short haul. So it's all good things to keep our volunteers busy and make an impact when we're needed. Another statistic that always impresses me, of course, when these volunteers are out there, it's not just like your normal 8-hour volunteer shift. It's regular farming hours, regular farming work schedule. So they'll put in, 12, 16-hour days, just like the farmer would himself. And so we've racked up about over 12,000 volunteer hours since we started keeping track of how many hours the volunteers serve. Here's a little breakdown of our 2 territories we have right now. As you can see, we're currently serving 11 states. I mentioned Oklahoma a minute ago, not officially on our list, but if we see a great enough need, we'll bring it up to our board, and we will go serve there if the board feels like we can make an impact, just like we helped in the Texas Panhandle 2 years ago, the big fire down there. So I'm in the dark green there. We call our Corn Belt region, where more corn is grown, basically south of I-90. And I've got 7 states that I'm looking after right now on the management side of things. Then we've got another territory where our home state of North Dakota is, that our another manager covers. You can see that's where a majority of our cases have been since we started. We're pretty much a household name up there. If anyone drives I-29 or I-94 across North Dakota, you'll see we have a very generous billboard sponsor in North Dakota, and you'll see a farm rescue billboard probably every 30 miles along those interstates. So that's been a great blessing to help us get the word out. And we probably hear about every family that needs help in any given year in North Dakota. We're still trying to get that process developed in all of our other 10 states, though. This is the number of cases we've done in all the other states since we started them. I'd like to say we've made some good gains and increases in Iowa in the 3 years that me and my coworker have come on board with Farm Rescue and started growing and spreading the mission there. I would like to point out, obviously, we added the new state of Missouri just a few weeks ago. We announced that at Commodity Classic. We added Kentucky last year, and we actually added Wisconsin 2 years ago. So how does the process work? How does it go from a family needing help to us there getting the work done? We've got it kind of broken out into these steps. First, we have to find the family. That's, believe it or not, actually the hardest part of the whole mission. Farmers are very independent folks. They've always had to figure out a way to get things done themselves usually, and so it's very hard, if not impossible, sometimes for them to think about going to our website, filling out the application, or calling asking for help. So a better process seems to be if somebody would refer them to us, like a neighbor, friend, other family member that knows they've suffered something. They say, hey, would you mind just reaching out to so-and-so, see if there's something Farm Rescue might be able to do to help them out this season? And that's exactly what we do. We reach out, tell them about Farm Rescue, a little bit how it works, ask if they'd be interested in maybe having an in-person meeting to make a plan and see if it's something that's right for them. And once that happens, I'd say probably 90% of the time, once we get that referral and make contact with the family, they're signing up and allowing us to help. So it's a huge part of growing our mission is getting those referrals. So after we have that referral, it moves on to, like I said, the on-site farm visit. And I actually sit down, the field operations managers do sit down with the family, and we learn about how they normally like to do their farming, what equipment they have available, what equipment we might need to bring or find to rent somewhere. And we make a plan with them. We say, we're not just going to show up and do this the way we think is best. We want to hear how you prefer to have it done, and we'll make a plan with you right here and now that we will come execute when you tell us it's time to do so. So they're still very much in control of the management and all that aspect of the season. Even if they can't physically do the work, they know it's going to be done to their standards. So once we have that plan in place, I submit it to our board of directors for their final review and approval. Maybe they have to adjust the number of acres we can do or the amount of time we can stay, depending on our schedule. And once that plan's approved, again, I let the family know, and we just hold on to that until they say the field's ready or the crop's ready to come execute the plan. Sometimes we have a month advance notice if they know they're going to have a surgery or something coming up that we can get all this done. Sometimes it's during the season. They realize, hey, shoot, I can't do the work like I thought I could. So now they're calling saying, how quick can you be here? And in those cases, we typically try to have all this done in a week or less and be on the ground with equipment and people starting to help. So we're very much used to responding on short notice if we have to. So then once the plan's ready to execute, we've got the volunteer crew made up a little bit ahead of time and get them dispatched. And they're responsible for their travel costs to get to the area of deployment. But once they're there, we do pay for their hotel, lodging, and meals and other expenses while they're there. And typically we try to commit to about 7 to 10 days worth of work so we can spread out the service to as many families as possible during the short season. As you guys who grow row crops know, planting season's only about 10 good days now, so it's a very tight window to find as many families to help as possible. And so then we complete the work as they requested and move on to the next family. And like I said, it's all free of charge to the families we're helping. They provide the inputs just like they would their own machinery as far as fuel, fertilizer, seed, those types of things. But we provide the equipment and skilled labor to do the work. So kind of what's this look like when it all comes together? Here's a one example, maybe a little bit of a special example because this was actually the 1,000th family we helped back in the summer of 23. So we did a little bit of planting and winter wheat harvest for them that season so we could have a big event during the harvest project and invite people from all over and make a day of it. So what happened, this is a Pfeiffer family. They farm in far eastern Illinois, in Palestine, Illinois. And you remember we had a tornado outbreak there, spring of 23, where a large tornado went through Robinson in Palestine and then across the river into Indiana, killed several people there, unfortunately. But they had severe damage at their farmstead from that tornado that pretty much took all of their equipment, semis, everything, and put it in a big pile on the farm. So it was all severely damaged. And it was right before planting season. I think it was March 31st because I was driving home from Illinois and got caught in that on the way home that day. And so planting season was right around the corner. There really wasn't time to look for or buy new machinery. So somebody referred them to us. I reached out and was able to get a meeting. And once I met with them, I asked, do you have any neighbors who are damaged around here? I met with a few neighbors, and we got 3 families signed up there to help plant that spring from that one referral. So we planted, I think it was about 250 acres of soybeans. They did get a corn planter rented from the dealer to do some of their own planting at the same time. And then again, we'd harvested about 185 acres of winter wheat for them to do our special 1,000th family celebration event. Total work about 8 days. We utilized 11 volunteers, which is about 3 times more than normal because it was a special event. We did have some extra people and things come run the combine for a few rounds and switch out to make more of an event out of it, and 196 volunteer hours for that case. The impact it made on the family at the end of the day, eased their stress, obviously got their work completed in a timely fashion to maximize yields and profits for that season, give them the peace of mind that they could go about all the extra stuff they had thrown on their plate now because of the storm, dealing with insurance companies, with debris cleanup, all that stuff that they had to do that they don't have to do during normal farming season. So they were relieved to be able to focus on those other things and know the farming would still get done. So how do we accomplish this besides the volunteers? The other piece of that, of course, is funding. As a nonprofit, we're totally reliant on individual and corporate partners and donors to make this possible. I believe we spent a little over $3 million last year in equipment and other expenses to help the families we helped. I think we helped 66 different families last year. There wasn't much hay hauling, so that was a little lower number than usual. But we rely on these sponsors. They're more than just sponsors. They are partners because they refer families. They might donate services and equipment in kind. Just anything we need to make the mission happen when the time comes. So how else can you get involved? We talk about volunteering, sponsors, obviously referring families is another key component. I think there's something for just about anyone who's passionate about helping their fellow farmers, neighbors when crisis strikes. to get involved with Farm Rescue, even if that's just sharing our post on social media, helping spread that awareness so we get those referrals when families suffer something. And, donating money is always great as well. Or if you have the passion and the skill set to come run machinery for us and want to sign up as a volunteer on our website, or CDL license, want to drive semi for us, we encourage that all the time as well. So in order to be good stewards of that funding and help as many families every year as possible with it, we've got a pretty small paid staff on board to do everything in the background to make sure the volunteers have what they need in place when it's time to come do the work. So there's currently 7 of us on staff. Most of us work out of our home offices, so we're flexible to go wherever we're needed any given day. And myself and Terry Johnston kind of cover the Corn Belt for Farm Rescue. He's our development officer, fundraising manager, and I'm the operations manager. We have a similar role of counterparts up north, as well as our executive director is also our fundraising manager up there. And we've got one full-time guy, James, who's in the office every day doing volunteer coordination, and a marketing person and a business manager who are in the office about half the week and working from home half the week. And here's a little slide to give thanks to some of our main sponsors. There's probably a lot of logos on there you may recognize. We're blessed to have some that are our sponsors on a national level, meaning no matter where you go in the country, you'll recognize their brand, and some that are more localized. We're thankful for all of them. On the equipment side, we have John Deere, of course, that we're able to get some discounts when it comes time to buy or rent equipment. Heaven Hill, they're a newer sponsor that came with the state of Kentucky to us. They make a very high-grade bourbon, if you're familiar with that, including one that's specifically made from a certain type of corn down there called grain to glass. And proceeds from the sale of that specific bourbon are going to help Farm Rescue. Anheuser-Busch, Busch Light, if there's any Busch Light fans in the room, they have a specialized beer can every summer that's a fundraiser for us that we like to highlight. It says For the Farmer on it, and it's got Farm Rescue on top of the can now as well. So we get a proceed of every one of those sold during the summer months, and that's a huge fundraiser for us as well. So if you know of any businesses or you have a business yourself that wants to get involved, please let us know. We would love to work with you. So what does this mean at the end of the day, keeping family farms going? Well, we were wondering that. So we hired a retired Iowa State University professor to do an economic impact study a couple years ago and actually put some numbers to the impact we're making. So what he found, he surveyed a few families we helped in Iowa and got some base statistics from that and then replicated it out across our whole service area. But he found since we started from 2005 to 2003, we'd had about a $29.9 million economic impact on the families we'd helped. It was about 1,100 families at that time. $16.7 million of crops saved that, if they couldn't have got the crop planted or harvested on those acres, it would have went to waste, or yields would have been a lot lower. And supporting roughly 136 jobs between the farm itself and the other businesses in town that farm supports. So the number we really like to highlight is for every $1 invested in Farm Rescue that a donor gave to us that we spent helping the family, was returned 10 to 1, $10 returned to the local economy in that area. So again, how can you learn more about us? Obviously, our website's the best place to start, farmrescue.org, where right there you can refer a family. You can remain anonymous if you want. Don't want your name used as in the referral. We respect that. You can volunteer, sign up to volunteer, and start a volunteer sign-up process. Or obviously, you can electronically donate anytime you wish to keep the mission growing. And a little slide here to just explain, we don't like to consider this a charity. We consider it a hand up, not a handout. So we're not dispersing any direct financial assistance. We just provide the labor substitute. So we provide the hands and the feet when the farmer's not able to do so himself that season. And this last slide's got my contact information as well as our fundraising manager, Terry Johnston's. Feel free to email or call anytime if you have a referral or a question. We hope to keep the mission growing. Like I said, in North Dakota, we probably hear from 3 different people about every farm family that suffers anything up there. It's pretty much on autopilot, but our other 10 states, we'd really like to find more families to help. We know we're just scratching the surface, just getting started. So if you think there's a family that might qualify, don't hesitate to refer them, and we'll reach out and see if it's something that we can help with or not. We'd rather have them say no thank you or versus having them fall through the crack and not know this was available when they needed it. So thank you for your time. I'll be back at the table until at least 3 if you have any questions or want to talk further afterwards.